Welcome to this presentation, An Introduction to QuickBooks Online. This presentation is intended to give you information about Intuit's newest accounting software, QuickBooks Online. The objectives for this session is to highlight the features and the benefits of using QuickBooks Online, to demonstrate those features in the software, and then to give you the next steps to get started in QuickBooks. Let's start by defining what is QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online is an online Intuit-hosted application. This means that the software as well as your company data is hosted in the cloud. This means that you can access the data via the internet and a simple internet connection. Now, what does that mean for a small business? It means that it is a traditional accounting solution, and it provides the following. First, tracking for your day-to-day transactions, including sales transactions like invoices, sales receipts, payments. It tracks your expense transactions, debit and credit card entries, bills, checks, and so on. It also does banking transactions, deposits, transfers, and even connects to your online bank. It also tracks important elements for your small business like sales tax and business payroll, as well as it comes with lots of reports to give you the information you need. Now, what does it mean to work in the cloud, and what are the benefits of using QuickBooks Online? Here we'll talk about 5 benefits that will help your small business. Number 1, anywhere, anytime access. This means that you can access QuickBooks from wherever you are as long as you have an internet connection. So whether you're at the office, at home, on the road, or perhaps on vacation, you can use QuickBooks Online in your internet browser. This means that you're no longer tied to your desktop computer. It also means that your data is always live and is going to be one single source of information for your small business. Number 2, automate data entry using bank feeds. Bank feeds are a new and exciting feature in QuickBooks that lets your QuickBooks talk to your online bank and lets QuickBooks enter information automatically from your bank in what we call a bank feed. We'll talk more about this in a few moments when we review the bank feeds in QuickBooks Online. Number 3, easy connection to your accountant. It's important that your accountant has the access and the information they need to do the important tasks of year-end accounting, financial statements, tax returns, and other tasks that they need to do on a regular basis. QuickBooks makes it very easy to connect to your accountant. Number 4, no software to install or upgrade. Desktop software has historically been very difficult to manage. You have to install the software once a year. You have to do regular updates throughout the year. You have to manage your data file. QuickBooks Online takes all of that away from you, and it manages all of it for you. All you need to do is log into your web browser, sign into your file, and you're ready to go. The last benefit, on-the-go accounting using mobile. QuickBooks Online comes complete with a free application for your mobile device, whether it's a tablet or a phone. QuickBooks will work on a variety of different operating systems. It lets you get information into your QuickBooks through your mobile device to make sure that you're getting information in a timely fashion into the software. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the specific features in a QuickBooks Online demonstration. Welcome to the software. First, let's talk about logging in and using QuickBooks Online. First, QuickBooks Online should be accessed in a web browser, preferably Google's Chrome or Mozilla Firefox. Those 2 web browsers are built specifically for the features that are within QuickBooks Online. You visit the website ca.qbo.intuit.com and enter your information. Once you enter your information, you click Sign In, and QuickBooks signs you into your company file. It's a good idea to bookmark this page for easy access in the future. Now that you've logged into the software, you're ready to learn the basics of getting around. As a small business user, there are a few different ways to get around QuickBooks. The first and probably the most common way that you're going to use QuickBooks is to use what we call the Create menu. The Create menu can be accessed by clicking the plus symbol at the top of your QuickBooks window. In this window, you'll find a list of transactions sorted by the different people that you're dealing with in your business. So you see customer-related transactions like invoices, receiving payments, estimates, and sales receipts. Click on any of these transactions and it will take you to a form that you can enter and which will become an accounting entry. Likewise, you can deal with supplier transactions, things like expenses, checks, bills, and so on. In addition to those common types of workflows, customers and suppliers, you also have employees and other common transactions like bank deposits, transfers, and journal entries. You will use the Create menu to do most of your day-to-day work in QuickBooks. After you use the Create menu to make data entry, you will want to find that information at times. QuickBooks lets you do that very easily using the navigation bar. You can see the home page contains information about your business, a quick snapshot of your income, expenses, and your profit and loss. It also has information about your bank accounts, as well as recent activities in your file down here in the bottom right corner. Now, to find information from the navigation bar, you can click Customers, and QuickBooks will display a customer list as well as all of the transactions associated with those names. To see more detail on a customer, you can simply click their highlighted name, and it will give you the transactions and information about that customer. To view transactions you've entered according to suppliers, click the suppliers page and you'll see similar information. Now, if you wanted to see the transactions according to the transaction type, click the transactions page. It will expand and give you the option of choosing one of several different transaction types. For example, we could click on expenses, and instead of seeing a list of our expenses according to the suppliers that we use, you'll see a list of expenses by date order. And you can view this detail as much as you would like. Now, in addition to the transactions sorted by the names and the people that you deal with, as well as by the transaction type, you can also see that same information in a report format when you click the Reports page. From here, you can see details about common reports like the profit and loss report, the balance sheet, and you can see more detailed reports as you scroll down and examine more information that you need for your company. Now, the third and final final way of getting around QuickBooks Online is to use what we call the Company menu. The Company menu is contained in the top right corner. When you click the Company menu, you'll see common transactions and tasks that you will use regularly, but they're not as frequently used as the Create menu that we learned about a moment ago. So in the Company menu, you'll first see the settings. So when you want to review how your company is set up, you'll click the Company settings. You can view your chart of accounts and other details about your setup. You can also view your products and services. You can do common tasks under the Tools option like reconciling and budgeting. And finally, under your account, you'll see more details about your QuickBooks subscription. You can add people to your subscription, and you can interact with Intuit through the feedback and privacy options. Those are the three most common ways of getting around QuickBooks: the Create menu at the top, the navigation bar to the left, and the Company menu in the top right. Now that you know the basics of getting around, there's a few tips and tricks that you can learn about how to set your company up the right way. The best tip is to use the company settings to customize QuickBooks around your company. You can view the company settings by clicking the company menu and then clicking on company settings. In the company settings, you'll see 4 different categories, including company, sales, expenses, and advanced. It's a good idea to go through each of the different categories to customize QuickBooks around how your business works and your personal working style. Under the company preferences or settings, you'll see the company name and contact information. You'll see details about how your company works, including your accounting method, your business number. Update this information as needed. You can click Sales to view information about your sales transactions. In here, you'll notice you can customize the way that your sales forms look and feel. You'll be able to work with your products and services, and you can customize how QuickBooks interacts with your customers, including messages and email and statements. Next, click the Expenses category, and you can turn on different features based on your needs as a business on how you're going to deal with bills and expenses and even purchase orders. Finally, click Advanced, and you can go through a number of advanced settings that will help you customize QuickBooks around your needs. First, you'll see the accounting section where you can enable your fiscal year as given to you by your accountant. You can take some security precautions and close your books. If you choose to use account numbers, you can turn them on here. Then you can look at the automation options. There are a number of things that will let you help QuickBooks do some of the work for you. Edit these according to your needs. Finally, you can see time tracking options and miscellaneous, where you'll be able to customize QuickBooks around the date format, the number format, and other small things that will be meaningful to you as a QuickBooks user. Once you've edited the settings and you've completed the customization, click Done. And that saves the settings. Anytime you need to refer back or make changes, you can always go back to the settings and update them as needed. Another good idea after you get set up is to set up users in your company. You can set up users for internal people who will be using QuickBooks, and you can invite your accountant or bookkeeper to participate in the accounting with you. To add users, click the company menu, then click Manage Users. If you want to add a new user to your company, click New, and then go through the wizard to set up a new user. So let's add a sales and accounts receivable user. First, choose regular or custom user. Click Next. I'll select limited and then select customers and sales. Click Next. Select the appropriate options. For user management, we'll click No. Company information, we'll say View Only. And finally, we'll make sure that this user can't manage our subscription, so we'll select No. Then we'll click Next. Finally, we'll add the user's name, including their email address. And then finally, we'll click Next. And then finish it up by clicking Finish, and that will invite that user to set themselves up as a user in QuickBooks. Next, we can invite our accountant. To add the accountant, click the Invite Accountant button. And there we'll go through the same process. So we'll enter our accountant's email address. And then we'll click Next, and we'll finish by clicking the Finish button, and QuickBooks will invite our accountant to participate in the accounting. The next step is for the users to accept the invitation and they will become parts of your QuickBooks accounting. Another great feature available in QuickBooks Online is the bank feed. The bank feed lets you set up QuickBooks to be connected to your online bank account or credit card account. What this means for you as a small business owner and QuickBooks user is that every day QuickBooks will download the transactions from your bank or credit card and directly import them into QuickBooks, allowing you to easily enter them after you review and approve those transactions. Let's take a look at what this means for you. First, you have to set up your online bank feed. To do that, from the home page, click Add Bank Account, or in our case, Connect Another Account. QuickBooks will let you enter your information here, or you can choose from one of the popular banks listed below. Let's suppose that we're using the Royal Bank. I'll click the Royal Bank. Next, you'll simply enter your username or card number and then your password, and then you'll click Login. QuickBooks will then allow you to connect your account to your online bank feed. From this point forward, QuickBooks will begin to download the transactions every day directly into the software. Now, what does that mean for you on a daily basis? It means that QuickBooks will automate some of the data entry for you. To take a look at this, let's use the example of our credit card. To view the transactions that have been downloaded recently, click the number here in the top right corner. You'll see in here this contains our bank feed. You'll notice that there are a number of listed transactions under the New Transactions tab. This means that there are 20 new transactions that need our approval or processing. Now, there are several steps that QuickBooks takes to do the processing for your bank feed. The first step is it looks for matches. So what QuickBooks is doing is when it downloads from the bank, it immediately scans your file for matches, as it does not want to do redundant or double entries. So once it finds items that automatically match the transactions that it's downloaded from the bank, it lets you match them. So you'll see that this transaction from Staples is automatically matched. So to add this to QuickBooks, I simply click Match. I can do that for each of the transactions contained and are labeled as matched transactions. That's the first step in the bank processing. The second step is that QuickBooks wants to apply rules. You can set up rules in QuickBooks by clicking the drop-down arrow at the top of your window and clicking Manage Rules. Managing rules will let you give criteria to QuickBooks transactions and tell it how to behave based in different situations. So for this rule, labeled Office Supplies, I am telling QuickBooks that every time that money goes out on our credit card with an amount less than $100, categorize it to the Office Supplies account with the appropriate sales tax code. Every time QuickBooks sees a transaction that fits those criteria, it will automatically categorize the transaction to the category listed here within the rule. So, what does that mean for you when using QuickBooks? After QuickBooks does all of the matches it can, it begins to apply the rules. So here you'll notice that there are several rules automatically entered. So here I see the Office Supplies rule that's taken effect. So I don't need to add that information. I simply click Add, and QuickBooks does that for me. Now, the third step in the processing is that if QuickBooks does not recognize a match or a rule, it automatically takes a guess, a very educated guess, at what category you should be using for the transaction. It uses historical information to give you a suggestion. So, take example number 1 here, Best Buy. When I last saw a Best Buy transaction, I categorized it to computer expenses. So QuickBooks has suggested that I use this account. And if it's correct, I can simply click Add. Next, you'll see Tim Hortons and it says Meals for Employees. Well, perhaps I think that's incorrect. If I don't want to take that suggestion, I can click on it to a different category that works for my business. And once I've changed it and I'm satisfied with the result, I can click Add. So while QuickBooks wants to match and apply rules and offer suggestions, at the end of the processing, if you don't use any of those three, you have full control to edit the transactions and make the entries as you need to make them. We really suggest you use QuickBooks Online Banking, as this will really speed up your efficiency. It will help you be more accurate, and it should take away some of that data entry pain that we all experience in QuickBooks. Now let's talk about creating and managing invoices in QuickBooks. QuickBooks makes it very easy to create sales using invoices. Like we learned earlier, click on the Create menu and then click Invoice. QuickBooks displays an invoice form. QuickBooks makes it very easy to enter data in the software by using forms. You simply fill out the form and it becomes a transaction and an accounting entry for you. It also gives you the benefit of being able to email or print this invoice for a customer and track it until it gets paid. First, let's choose a customer. Next, I'll complete the information in the invoice. I can add our invoice number, our invoice date, and then I can choose what product or service I'm selling to this customer. Next, I'll enter the quantity, and QuickBooks automatically adds the rate and the amount if necessary. Then I'll add my tax rate, and that's all I need to do in QuickBooks to make this transaction. There are some benefits to the transaction as well. If you scroll down in the transaction, you'll see that you can add messages on the invoice, you can add memos for the statement, as well as you can see that you can add attachments. So if I had a document that I wanted to send with this invoice, I'd simply add an attachment here. After I've completed the invoice, you'll notice that I can click Save and Send, or in our case, we'll click Save and Close. And QuickBooks saves that invoice for future reference. Now, once you've entered that invoice, you can receive a payment against that invoice. Once again, we'll click on the Create menu, and then we'll click Receive Payment. We'll complete the form like we usually do, so I'll enter my customer name, and there you'll see a list of transactions outstanding for Grace Wu. Now, I'll enter the payment method, the reference number of that payment method, and where I want to deposit the transaction. Next, I'll enter the amount received. And there QuickBooks applies the payment against the invoices outstanding. Now, to save that transaction, I simply click Save and Close. And finally, I can make a deposit of that transaction. I can go to the Create menu, click Bank Deposit, and I can make a deposit for Grace Wu. And that completes the sales and customers workflow from creating an invoice, receiving a customer payment, and making a deposit. QuickBooks also makes it easy to organize and track our expenses. It lets us track a variety of different expense transactions for expenses we incur on a day-to-day basis, as well as bills that we'll get that we want to track and pay later. To enter an expense, click on the Create menu, and then click Expense. Once again, you'll see a common form. We can create an expense transaction in this form. Let's suppose that we'll create a credit card entry. So first I'll choose the payee. Next, I'll enter my account that I want to track it to, my credit card. Then I'll enter my payment date, and then I'll choose my payment method, which will be credit card as well. Next, I'll enter the account to which I want to track this transaction. So this is a subcontractor, so I'll choose the appropriate account. I can enter a description. I can enter an amount, and QuickBooks will calculate the sales tax for me. That's all I need to do to enter a credit card entry in QuickBooks. Now I can click Save and Close. Now that you've learned the basics of some data entry in QuickBooks Online, you can now try to find some of the data that QuickBooks will give you in information on reports. To view reports, click the Reports page on the navigation bar. There are a number of different categories of reports, including recommended, frequently run, custom reports that you can customize and save, management reports, and then you can view all of your reports in one window. Today, let's talk about two reports under recommended. First, let's click on the profit and loss report. This will provide us with information about our business on a profit and loss or income statement. You can view this information very easily. You can print it, send it to Excel, and have all the information at your fingertips. Let's suppose you now want to create a balance sheet. We'll click on Reports, and then we'll click Balance Sheet. And there you see our balance sheet as of today is listed in lots of detail here. Now you can work with the report right on this window by changing the date, and you can also click Collapse to make the report more concise. You can see that it collapses the sub-accounts up into the parent accounts and makes the financial statement easier to read. QuickBooks Online makes customizing reports very simple for you. Now let's briefly review how QuickBooks enables you to use the software on your mobile device. QuickBooks is going to be available at your fingertips on your mobile device, including your phone and your tablet. First, you can download the free app at the app section right within QuickBooks Online, or you can use one of your common Android stores or the iTunes store to download the free application. After you've installed it, you'll be able to see what it can do for you. First, you'll sign into the application as you see here, and QuickBooks will give you a list of recent activities. It's important to note that the online version on your phone or tablet will be slimmed down. It does not contain every single transaction activity you can do while sitting at your computer in your web browser. But it does contain important things that will let you do transactions and tasks that are important while you're with a customer or supplier. So you'll see here that you can add a customer, you can add estimates, invoices, sales receipts, payments, and more. So there's lots of transactions that are able to be entered on the phone or tablet. Now, once you enter a transaction, or you are in the process of entering a transaction, you'll see that it looks very similar to what you would see while sitting at your computer. You can enter the same fields, add memos, all the details are customizable on the form. After saving a transaction, you'll notice that it turns into a different looking form, and at that point you can use some of the mobile features that you're used to. Things like emailing invoices, estimates, and things like that. Now let's talk about the details to go a little bit further in QuickBooks Online and tell you what the next steps are to get started. So when you subscribe to QuickBooks Online, you first get the free in-product conversion. So if you're converting from QuickBooks Desktop, you can do that for free within QuickBooks Online. You get the software. You can even use QuickBooks Online Payroll for free as well. You also have free training available as well as unlimited support to help you get started. Now let's complete this presentation by talking about the next steps for getting started in QuickBooks Online. If you don't have a subscription already, please give us a call to talk to the sales team to find out any more information that you need to make the jump to QuickBooks Online, you can give us a call at 1-888-829-8589. If you're already using QuickBooks Online and you have a question or need any support with getting going, please give us a call at 855-253-1536. Or to check in on any future training options, please visit us at allaboutqbo.ca. Thanks for watching this video presentation about QuickBooks Online.